This was an article from Student Magazine, coming from what is now Ruskin, Anglia Polytechnic, as it were. And it sort of has photos of the so-called riots and all this kind of thing. I think somebody pulled the light off a police car and there was some pushing and shoving and that kind of thing, but they over-dramatised it quite a bit, one might say that. It was the Cambridge Evening News headline, 80 police tackle disco mob. Does make me laugh because, well, they were being a nuisance, one has to say. Going on till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 weeks in a row. But, well, it got the point across, I suppose. So next we get this concert at the Guildhall to promote the idea of ways to move. The tape we had co-produced, to raise this awareness and interest in the idea of creating a new venue in Cambridge. So the Cambridge Venue Group was formed at this big meeting at the Guildhall, and I was to act as press secretary and general secretary, and Peter Ingram was to act as treasurer. And that's how the Cambridge Venue Group began. Later on, Cambridge City Council put on this big event out at Duxford, which was Talk Talk, The Fall, and a local band called President Regan is Clever, Friday the 18th of July. So this was very well attended. A lot of people turned up. We had Trevor Dan at that time doing a Sunday rock show on Radio Cambridgeshire. Trevor Dan was also the deputy head of Radio 1 at that time, with Martin Bannister being the head of Radio 1. So it was rather interesting to have him every Sunday broadcasting this Sunday rock show. He did feature local bands, and we did about 30 or 40 appearances on that radio show, promoting and keeping the idea of the junction going. And first off was an interview with Chris Howard and John Woodhouse, talking about how the junction could be built somewhere or other in Cambridge, and they were looking for a site and all this kind of thing. But during this time, because of my position there as General Secretary, Press Secretary, I attended every council meeting that was to do with anything that might relate to the junction. The plan for the junction, wanted to have to say, because it wasn't called the junction at that time. And when I saw the finance panel coming up with the notion that this concert had lost £12,000, I couldn't understand how that could have happened. It was very well attended. They laid on buses, all kinds of things. This is Cambridge City Council and its trickiness. Because what had happened, as it turned out, was they'd booked this big hangar at Duxford for 7 days. They'd put on this one event and another event to do with brass bands or youth bands or something. And the other 5 days, it had been empty, doing nothing. And so then the bill was £12,000, and they claimed that this concert had lost £12,000. This is the way they operate. The same with the cost of the venue. Here's another example of the same kind of thing. When the price of this venue rocketed from 250,000, it had gone to 500,000, and now they've decided to bring in the architects who designed Sydney Opera House, so I was told. And so the price had risen to 800,000. Again, you see, what they're trying to do is make it so expensive that the councils will say, no, we can't do it because it costs too much money. And this is the way they operate. Inflate the price and try and stop it going ahead. After all, we did a TV piece, which I'll come back to in a while, for About Anglia, presented by Paul Barnes. Now, Paul had called me the day before we did this, and it had turned out that he was doing a piece on Riverside in Norwich. They had applied for money and they had got it straight away, and they were going ahead with the project. So the news story was quite short. We, however, at that time, had been banging on for about 3 years trying to get the City Council to do this, and they were still dragging their feet and trying to deal with it this way, inflating the price, and trying to get out of doing it by making it too costly. This was another event we put on the Corn Exchange during Cambridge Festival in 1987. And Guy Wolfenden, the musical director of the festival, came and saw me at stage door and thanked me personally for putting on something for young people. Because, of course, Cambridge Festival was mostly about, well, what the city council like, opera and this kind of thing. And there was very little at that time for younger people involved in Cambridge Festival, even though they got prizes for it.